Hello, name is Ray with Ray's Extreme Engines. Uh, this is part 2 of how to assemble your uh, small block Chevy engine. Like I said, this will be with the big block Chevy engine as well. It's basically the same thing. If you know how to assemble one, you can assemble the other one. Except different torque specs, of course. Like I said, this is a budget build, basic overhaul engine. You already seen the first part, which is installing the crankshaft. That one's a little bit longer, but it took a lot of more steps. I just didn't want to miss any steps. This one will be installing the camshaft. We're going to install the camshaft. Like I said, this is a budget build. I went with the Elgin Pro Stock cam. Here's the part number. This is what they call an RV cam. It gives more torque. It's a good cam for pulling. It's also good for fuel mileage. And here are the specs. 281, 296 duration. At 50 is 204, 214. The lift is 421, 442 lift. Low separation is 107 intake and exhaust is 117. You're probably asking, what are all these numbers? I have no clue. I'll do another video of explaining camshafts. I'll go through the lift, duration, lobe separation, small base circle cams, and so on. The reason I installed the cam at this time is instead of putting the pistons and the rings and the rods and so on in, right after I install the crankshaft, I'll install the camshaft. Reason for, say you're building a stroker engine. Stroker motors have longer rods, some have shorter rods. It all depends how you set it up. Say you install all your pistons all the way across. You do your short block, and then you decide to install your camshaft. The minute you install your camshaft and you start turning the engine over and it locks up, it stops. It's because your rod is hitting your camshaft. I've seen it happen even with the small base circle. It's happened to me. I built a 427 stroker motor, small block Chevy, 427 stroker motor with the aftermarket block. And I did the same thing. I installed all the pistons, then I installed the camshaft. Well, I decided to turn it one time, one revolution, it got stuck. I couldn't turn it. So I turned it back the other way, got stuck again. So that's why I installed it now. That way I'll find out as I install the pistons, but not on this one, of course, but on a stroker motor. When I install the pistons, if it does hit, then I know, okay, I need to clearance that rod, that specific rod, and then of course you have to go through the balancing and all that. But that is why I install the cam now. I'm going to get you a used cam. That way you can see what happens if you don't install it properly either. Hopefully you can see it from here. I'm going to give you you see that lift here? You can see the lift on here. Okay? This is the other one. This cam lobe went flat. This is the base circle. Now this is where it's supposed to lift. I'm just going to turn it so you can see. This is where the lift is supposed to be. There's no lift here. It's basically flat. Hopefully you can see it there. It went flat. And I'll turn it again and you see this one already lift again. This one is still flat. This is the lift part right here. And you can see how it went flat. This cam went flat. As you can see, it doesn't even lift like these other ones. Have that lobe lift there. You see that? Big difference. If you don't install it properly, you'll have a flat cam. Guess where all these shavings go? To your bearings. Guessed right. To your bearings. They will go out to your bearings and destroy your engine. Luckily, we caught this in time. It started smoking, started missing, and falling out the plugs. And you might say, well, you didn't catch it in time. Well, I say we did because it didn't destroy the crankshaft. And of course, here is the new cam. And as you can see, it's got a little bit higher lift, just slight small. I mean, it's not large. It's not a large cam. In fact, this is going to be a smooth idle, but it will give more torque. This is a good daily driver. If you want to go out on the highway and just save fuel mileage, or you want to pull a trailer, this is going to help. Like I said, first thing is first. Also, another thing, this came with the stock timing set. This is a stock sprocket. As you can see, it's a single one. And you want to upgrade on here. It's a few more dollars, you can upgrade. And I upgraded to a Chloe's timing set, which these are good timing sets, good budget bill. And here I upgraded to a double roller. See, this is a double roller. As you can see, it's a double sprocket. The chain has rollers on it. And again, on this, the way you set it up, you get this wrong, you'll never get your engine to start. You'll wonder why it just keeps turning over and doesn't fire up. So you basically do this. When your timing set is on correctly, you're going to see, as you can see, the dots. Look at the dots. See that dot there? And then there's, it's kind of hard to see the other one, but there's that dot right there. So you basically want it even like this. And that's how you're going to set it up. And on this, the sprocket, you see one side is grooved, the other side is flat, and then you'll see your dot there. Okay, make sure this side faces out this way. Make sure the groove goes towards the engine. What I do is I'll put a little bit of oil here, just a small amount. And the way you install this one is you just make sure that key part goes right where the crankshaft key is. It takes a little bit of just slight you just keep going until it goes flush. Until it gets flush to the crankshaft. And as you can see, I rotate around it. And that's it. You're done there. Now your camshaft. You don't need a camshaft tool to install your camshaft. You can use the new sprocket, or you can use the old sprocket. Just like that. You put your bolts back on there, and you use this to help you guide the camshaft in there. Now, you don't want to be in a rush putting this camshaft in there and nick the camshaft bearings. So you want to take your time, put it in there correctly, and you want to lube the camshaft. Usually it comes with the camshaft lube, a small packet. That packet is enough to do it. Use an entire packet. But what I do is I use the same lube I use for the bearings. I use it for the camshaft. And the way I set it, and of course I got a plastic bag down here. You can put a bucket or whatever because you're going to make a mess. This is the messiest part of installing an engine. I put some on the bearings. I put some on the sprocket, the cam bearing, the gear drive, and some on the lobes. And the reason I do it this way right now, I don't do the entire camshaft because I'm going to wipe it off as I'm installing it. So I do some like this, some on here, on the lobes, and I know I didn't mention earlier, but I do clean all these parts first before I even do anything. I clean, because some of these come with some type of assembly lube on there, but it's kind of dry. I clean every part before I put it on there, but I didn't want to show you and make the video any longer than it needs to be. That's why I didn't do it this way. And all I do is install the camshaft. I put it there, and then I'll go ahead and lube this area where the bearing's going to be, the cam bearing's going to touch. I'll lube that area. Hopefully you can see all this, but all you're doing is guiding it in. You don't want to hurry up and hammer it because you're going to hit a bearing. So you're just guiding it slowly until you feel the other bearing, and there it is. And then you continue lubing it as we keep going. Don't worry about it. You can never put too much lube on here. And what I'll do is I'll put lube on the lifters as well when we install the lifters. And on this one, when you install the camshaft, make sure your timing set. When you install your timing set, well, you'll see it in a second. And see, I'll go ahead and put it on that cam bearing as well right now. And I'm going to go to the next step. And I'm going to keep going. Like I said, slowly until you feel it, and then it stops. You put on the next one. On this one, what we're going to do is we're going to, like I said, by the time you're done watching every video, every part on here, you will be able to assemble your own engine. You'll be able to rebuild your own engine. I'll do a video of honing your block, but I'll explain it. The only way you can hone your block is if there's not a ridge at the top. If there's a ridge at the top, then you do need to bore it. You need to take it to the machine shop. Alright, we're going to go to the next step. And see, I have to twist it, turn it. I'm still keeping it even. I wanted to go in straight. So in other words, I'm holding onto the cam and I'm guiding it through. I don't want it to move this way. I want it to go straight. That way it's a smooth action in there. Now we'll leave the last of it. And this will be it. And then we can assemble the timing set. And this is when I'll go ahead and lube the entire cam. Like I said, subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up. Hit a like on that button. That way you don't miss the entire series of this. And future videos I will be doing on this engine. We will put the Phytech on here. And I will do a step-by-step on how to install a Phytech. And the last part, you're basically going to hold it here and guide it all the way through. That's it. The camshaft is in. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the camshaft so the dot is facing down. I'm going to turn the crankshaft so the dot is facing up. So the dot is there for the crankshaft. Hope you can see. The dot is right here, facing straight up. The camshaft, the dot is facing straight down. Like I said earlier, when you have your dots lined up correctly, you're going to have that dot there and that dot right there from the camshaft. As you can see, just like that. That way when it turns, it'll line back up. If you don't have it this way, you will never get your engine started. It won't start. So now we have that. I'm going to put the chain on. And on these, they do sell a locking plate for your camshaft, which is cam lock, or you can just put a Loctite on there. I do both, depending if I have one here. I don't have one here, so I'll go ahead and put Loctite on these bolts. And right here, what we're going to do is we're going to just remove. You're not going to turn the camshaft. You're just going to take it off. You're going to put timing chain on. There it is. It's set up. I didn't move it. I didn't turn it anywhere. And this will go back on just like that. But remember, we're using Loctite. You can use just about any Loctite. That's the Loctite I use. You don't need much. Just that right there will work. You put Loctite on all three of them. This one torques at 20 foot-pounds. Like I said, if you have any questions, you want to see some type of video, or you want me to go in more detail on anything, just send me a message. I'm also on Facebook, Ray's Extreme Engines. There'll be my profile will have an airplane on it. See what's happening now? It's turning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this right quick. Give me a second. The way I do this is I'll just put bolts on the crankshaft back here. You can also put a bolt in the front for the crankshaft itself. It'll stop it. So that's basically it. I will. $20 foot-pounds isn't much. And you can double check yourself by getting the torque wrench and put 20 foot-pounds on it. Like I said, that's easy for the camshaft installation. That's part 2. We'll move to part 3. So stay tuned and we'll assemble the rings on the pistons. And then we'll assemble a couple of rods. I won't go through the whole procedure of installing all 8 of them. I'll install 1 and then 2. Remember, this is on a Chevrolet engine. 1, 3, 5, 7, 2, 4, 6, 8. Like I said, we'll just install the first 2. That way you'll know how to install that. And the rest it's basically the same thing. So stay tuned. Remember, go ahead and give me a like button. Subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any. And check me out on Facebook, which Ray's Extreme Engines. Ray's Engines, I believe. And there's a photograph of an airplane on there. On my next video, I'll go ahead and put a link to my Facebook page. Thanks.